everything! I said sell it now! It's dropping too fast! We're ruined! Get out of the market! Sell!
While everyone else was losing their life savings, one man made $100 million shorting the crash.
October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday, the day the stock market collapsed. While everyone else was losing their life savings, one man made $100 million shorting the crash. That's $1.6 billion today, in a single day. His name was Jesse Livermore, and 4 years later, he was broke. Then he made it all back, then lost it again, then made it back again, then lost it all one final time. In 1940, he walked into the cloakroom of the Sherry Netherland Hotel in Manhattan and shot himself. This isn't a story about how to make money in the stock market. It's about why making money doesn't mean you get to keep it. Jesse Livermore is 29 years old. He's already famous on Wall Street. Made his first million at 21, lost it, made it back at 24, lost it again, made it back at 27. The pattern was already there. Livermore had this thing he called reading the tape. Back then, stock prices came through on ticker tape machines, long strips of paper with prices printed on them. Most traders looked at fundamentals, company earnings, industry trends, economic data. Livermore ignored all that. He watched the tape, price movements, volume, momentum. He didn't care why a stock was moving, he just cared that it was moving, and he bet on it continuing. It worked spectacularly. In 1907, there was a banking panic. Markets crashed. Livermore shorted everything, made $3 million. That's $95 million today. J.P. Morgan himself, the most powerful banker in America, sent someone to Livermore's office with a message: "Stop shorting. You're making the crash worse. The entire financial system is collapsing." Livermore stopped, covered his shorts, took his profit. But here's what's important. Livermore didn't stop because Morgan asked nicely. He stopped because he'd already made his money. The move was over. The tape was telling him to get out. That discipline, knowing when to exit, was Livermore's superpower. For a while. 1920s. Livermore's back on top. Made millions, lost millions, made them back. He had a system. He called it pivotal points. Basically, he'd wait for a stock to break through a resistance level, then bet big that it would keep going. If it didn't, he'd cut his losses immediately. No emotions, no hoping it would come back. Cut losses fast, let winners run. Simple, brutal, effective. By 1929, Livermore had rebuilt his fortune to about $5 million. But he could feel something was off. The market had been climbing for years. Everyone was buying on margin, borrowing money to buy more stocks. Taxi drivers were giving stock tips. His barber was talking about his portfolio. Classic bubble behavior. Livermore started shorting. Small at first, then bigger. By October 1929, he was massively short the entire market. October 24th, the market drops 11%. Panic selling. Brokers calling in margin loans, people losing everything. Livermore's making a fortune. October 29th, Black Tuesday. The market collapses another 12%. Total chaos, suicides, fortunes evaporating. Livermore walks out with $100 million. The newspapers called him the Great Bear of Wall Street. Some people hated him, blamed him for the crash. Others wanted to know his secret. But Livermore didn't have a secret. He just read the tape, and the tape said the market was going down, so he bet on it going down. No genius, no magic, just discipline. Except discipline is hard to maintain when you're holding $100 million. Here's where it gets strange. Livermore started believing his own legend. He'd made $100 million reading the tape, so he figured he could make $200 million, then $300 million. He started taking bigger risks, stopped following his own rules, held losing positions hoping they'd turn around, doubled down on bad trades. The thing that made him rich, cutting losses immediately, he stopped doing. Why? Because when you have $100 million, a $2 million loss doesn't feel real. It's just a number. You can afford to wait. Give it time. It'll come back. Except it doesn't. By 1934, Livermore had lost everything. $100 million. Gone. He declared bankruptcy, owed $2.3 million to creditors. His wife divorced him, his reputation was destroyed. But here's what's crazy. He still knew how to trade. He borrowed $10,000, went back to following his system, cut losses fast, let winners run, no emotions. Within 3 years, he'd made $5 million. Again, paid back his creditors, rebuilt his reputation, wrote a book, How to Trade in Stocks. It became a classic. Everything was back on track. Then he lost it all again. This time it wasn't even trading, it was taxes. Livermore owed the IRS and couldn't pay. He tried to make it back in the market, started taking big swings, breaking his own rules, lost everything. He's 63, broke, divorced. His son won't talk to him. November 28th, he walks into the Sherry Netherland Hotel, goes to the cloakroom, writes a note in his journal. My dear Nina, can't help it. Things have been bad with me. I am tired of fighting. Can't carry on any longer. This is the only way out. I am unworthy of your love. I am a failure. I am truly sorry, but this is the only way out for me. Love, Lori. Then he shoots himself. The guy who made $100 million in one day, dead, broke. So what happened? Livermore's problem wasn't that he didn't know how to make money. His problem was he couldn't handle making money. Every time he got rich, he'd start believing he was special, that the rules didn't apply to him anymore, that his winning streak was skill, not a combination of skill and luck. So he'd get cocky, take bigger risks, stop following his system, and he'd lose everything. Then, when he was broke, he'd go back to basics, follow the rules, be disciplined, cut losses, let winners run, and he'd make it all back. The cycle repeated 4 times. Win big, get cocky, lose everything, get humble, win big again. He couldn't break it. And here's the thing. Livermore knew this about himself. He wrote about it. He warned other traders about it. He literally said, the most dangerous thing in trading is after you've had a big win. But he couldn't stop himself. Why does this matter now? Because Livermore's cycle is everywhere. It's not about trading. It's about what happens after you win. Crypto millionaires in 2017 who lost everything by 2018 because they thought they'd figured it out. Tech founders who had one successful exit then burned through all the money on their next failed startup. Athletes who make $100 million and go bankrupt within 5 years. The pattern is always the same. Win big, start believing you're special, stop following the rules that made you successful, take bigger risks, lose everything. The psychology doesn't change. Livermore's mistake wasn't his trading system. His system worked. His mistake was thinking making money once meant he'd figured out how to make money forever. He confused a good outcome with a good process. One good trade doesn't make you a genius. It makes you lucky that one time. The genius is doing it consistently, following the same boring process even when you're rich, especially when you're rich. But that's almost impossible, because once you have money, you stop thinking you need the process. You think you are the process. Livermore proved you can be right about the market and still lose everything, because the market isn't the hard part. The hard part is not fucking up after you've won, and almost nobody can do it. The traders who survived long-term weren't the best traders. They were the most disciplined. They followed their rules when they were winning. They followed their rules when they were losing. They didn't confuse a hot streak with skill. Livermore couldn't do that, and it killed him. Next video, how a 28-year-old trader destroyed Britain's oldest bank in 1995 with a single bad bet he kept doubling down on. Nick Leeson, Barings Bank, $1.4 billion lost. If you want to understand why smart people make stupid decisions with money, you're in the right place.